So we had the chance to go over to Bozeman, Montana and visit with John Barklow. John is a part of Sitka's development team and the Jedi when it comes to layering and preparation for a hunt. Our next hunt on schedule happens to be an Alaskan caribou hunt. John's going to help me go over what system he feels will get me through this next 10 days. So if you're planning on going to Alaska anytime soon, you're definitely going to want to hear what John has to say. So our first hunt of the year is caribou in Alaska. We'll be way up in Kotzebue, so northwestern Alaska, way up there, middle of nowhere, away from everything. The reason why I'm bringing that up is there's no chance of coming back to get anything, you know? So I want to make sure I go over what I feel is right and what you may change for me. My first defense is going to be a base layer, core light base layer.
Okay, perfect.
From there, I'll put my Apex on. The reason why I want to rock the Apex is because when I am moving, when I am mobile, I'm not walking with so much on, but yet I'm still protected a bit. You know, like that's a big thing for me. I sweat a lot. I'm the first to get cold, and I'm the first to sweat. So I want to have just enough to keep myself warm, but not sweat too much.
Yeah.
So I go to this would be the Apex I would go to.
Yeah, so let's stop there for a second. So we have a great foundational piece in a synthetic base layer, which for me on the hunt you're going on, because it's Alaska, because you know it's going to be damp, be high humidity, we talked about sweating, it's going to manage moisture exceptionally well. Then with the Apex, what that is that's what we call an active insulation piece.
Insulation.
You need a little bit of warmth because of the temperatures up there to stay warm while you're moving, but so that you don't sweat too much and you don't overwhelm that system that you said you often sweat.
Oh man.
This piece here is going to provide a little bit of insulation, but it's going to breathe exceptionally well. So it's going to keep you warm, it's going to dump that heat, and any moisture that comes through, it's going to manage it very well.
Okay. So
a great
far I'm
piece.
okay. So far I'm doing...
So far, yep.
That's the bad thing. We're not at the end yet. I'll mess up here in a second. And the first thing that I'm going to keep right next to my Apex, I'm going to have a dew point jacket just in case it starts raining, starts chilling out.
Like in the top of your pack?
Top of my pack.
Yeah, perfect.
Grab it out real quick so I don't allow myself to get wet from the outside, neither. Just cover up real quick. Things get bad. And it also, you know, will trap my heat when I need to stop.
Yep, it'll block some wind, it'll trap that heat. And like we mentioned, we're trying to manage moisture from two directions. From the inside out, so boom, you got your base layer. From the outside in, especially in Alaska, now we've got your rain gear, right? Nothing's really gonna ever protect you as well as rain gear. It's got one primary job, and it's to keep you warm from the outside in, from rain and snow. Secondary is it will block that wind.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. That's a great piece. Super lightweight rain gear. Always want to have it. Cheap insurance. In that environment, cannot go without it.
Okay, I feel I'm doing good. So, like I say, I'm the first to get cold. First guy. Everybody else will be in a t-shirt. I won't have a jacket on. I'll have a coat on. As soon as I stop, as soon as I know the caribou, I'm in line of caribou coming, the first thing I'm going to do after that is I'm going to grab my Kelvin, because I know I want to keep whatever heat that I did build, I want to keep it with me. So the Kelvin is like my go-to for everything. Like walking around today, I'll have my Kelvin on. When I'm hunting, I'm thinking the Kelvin's the first thing that's going to keep me warm. Right after I put the Kelvin on, I'm going to put my Jetstream on. Block the wind. So I have my heat and my wind block. What would you feel, what do you think is right or wrong with what I've done so far?
Okay, so it's interesting because these two pieces now, we're talking about a slightly or lightly insulated wind stopper, which I think wind stopper is critical to any clothing system, especially the environment you're going into. You're out on the tundra, it's going to be windy almost inevitably, right? Which is good. If you can get it in your face, you
golden
game on, right? And then you have a static insulation piece, which is the Kelvin. So what that is that's a lofted insulation. So as that body heat moves away from you, it wants to get trapped in those dead air spaces, in that loft, right? And then that face, that outer face textile is really tight. So it's not going to give that heat up very easily. It's not going to let that heat just move right through like in an active insulation piece. In a static insulation piece, it's going to get stopped and trapped in there. And so it's going to be really stingy with giving up your body heat. The wind stopper, it's critical that it blocks the wind so that you don't lose heat through convective cooling. So when wind blows across our bodies, we lose heat through convective cooling. If we're damp, because we haven't had a good base layer and we have wind blowing across our body, we lose heat exponentially quicker than if we were dry. So that wind stopper layer is critical. Now, the interesting thing about these two pieces is they can start to be worn in different combinations. Okay. So as an example, if you get out there on the tundra, it's the middle of the day and the sun's out and you're getting ready to stalk caribou, you may not need the Kelvin, and you could just put the Jetstream on because it's going to provide a little insulation, block the wind, it's going to be quiet, durable, and you're going to be able to get into the red zone and get a shot, right? Let's say you kill that caribou, and now you're going to start processing it and taking photos. You could take this Kelvin Light, this static insulation piece, and put it right over top of the Jetstream.
Gotcha, yeah.
Just layer. That's what a layering system does, right? So you can just put it over top. It's still going to capture that body heat. That's what its intent is. But now let's say even though it doesn't get dark up there, let's just say it's later in the evening and now you're stalking caribou and the sun's gone down a little bit and you're starting to get cool. You have this Kelvin on. And now you're like, you know what? I need a little bit of camo. I need a little bit of more quiet outerwear. Maybe there is a little bit of wind and you want to block a little more wind than this is providing. You just put the Jetstream right over top of the Kelvin. And so they really start to become interchangeable based on the environmental conditions. And that's the versatility that a modern technical clothing system will provide you. And that's why I say there's really no right or wrong, because it's a very dynamic environment. And so we just have to say, hey, here's the pieces we have. We're just going to continue to mix and match to meet the conditions and get the job done.
Yeah, I would have never thought to put the Kelvin on top of the Jetstream.
Yeah, sometimes it's not counterintuitive,
yeah,
but
I never
or it is counterintuitive, but there's no wrong answers.
Right.
Which is great for me.
Oh
right?
man.
Yeah.
And dealing with a guy that's always wrong.